Disclaimer, this is yet another video without a proper microphone because I can't find mine and I don't want to pay $60 for a new one just for me to find it, so sorry. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Alberto Redux and welcome back to another electronics type video. Today, yes, in fact, I bought another one. Now this says that it is a Panasonic OmniMovie. Of course, it's a VHS camcorder. This is a full VHS camcorder, and this did say that it was working. Like the listing said it was working and everything. Apparently it's from like Washington or something in an AV department, of course. But what the hell's in here? Well, let's find out. So on the front of this, which has a handle by the way, we have two latches, or two buttons, right here and right here. This one's a little bit screwed, but that one seems fine, so let's press this one first. And that one is unlatched, but still won't come open, because this one is still latched. So, gotta kind of unstick it, and there we go. Now it opens, I think. There we go, that wasn't quite done. And there's our boy, or our girl, depending. So here we have the AC adapter. This is actually more than an AC adapter. This is just an adapter, like a general adapter, because it has like RF stuff on it. It has, you know, the AV jacks on it, and it has power, and it's a charger. So yeah, we'll come back to that. Let me just untangle it real quick. How did this get so tangled? Sitting still in a box. Oh wait, that's because I just put this back in the box myself, because I've actually had this for weeks. Sorry. Oh, also, I tried to splice a mini DV tape, and I kind of failed because I put it on the wrong side of the tape. Yeah. Anyway, back to the camcorder. So here is the camcorder. Ugh, gross noises. It's a Panasonic, of course. And this is the tape door. We turn it around, we can see it is a Panasonic OmniMovie VHS HQ camcorder. And it has autofocus and 12 times zoom. I think that is actually optical because of the numbers that are shown on the lens portion here, 5.6 to 67 millimeters. I think that's around a 12 figure, so yeah, that's probably actually accurate and not just digital zoom, if this even has digital zoom, which being from 1988, I would actually kind of expect this to not have that at all. I don't know what was here, probably some kind of a school mark, maybe one of those press-in kind of soft plates that prevent, theoretically, something from a school from getting stolen, or an institution or something like that. So, on kind of a weird other note, this camcorder design, this specific one, was used in multiple different brands of camcorders. Like one company designed it, maybe Panasonic themselves OEM'd it to other manufacturers, like Sears had a camcorder that looked exactly like this, with, you know, the mic right here, and then like the mic below the lens, whereas on some of the other ones I have, the lens is below the microphone for some reason, even though it makes it really hard to actually use. It's kind of hard to explain why, but anyway. Avis. Alright, so one thing you might be very sad to see is that the batteries do not work anymore. I mean, of course they don't. This is actually a lead acid battery, not unlike a car battery. It's just, you know, a bit smaller. And yeah, as a result, this is very heavy because it has to hold, you know, fluid and lead. And so yeah, obviously it's going to be pretty heavy. 2 amp hours, which actually isn't that bad. And this would have lasted about an hour of general use in this camcorder. I think this was actually the original battery that came with this camcorder. And the battery that's actually in here right now is not. So let's eject it and see. This is in fact a Quasar battery, which I love that logo. This looks so cool, especially with the star up here, or the Quastar, whatever the fuck that's called. I like that, that's awesome. Bloc de batterie. That's what I would call this. It's a block of the battery. 12 volts, 2 amp hours, exactly like this one. God, they're chunky. No use in, you know, being careful with these because they're dead. Don't throw them in fire, obviously, you idiot, but they're pretty much dead. And yes, these are really dead. I've confirmed that I can't even charge them in place in the camera. Like if I leave a battery in here, if I put this one back in here, it is directional. Yeah, so if I can just leave it in there and plug in power. Because how some of these camcorders deal with power inputs is they have a battery on the back. And when you take that off, it'll expose a little AC jack right there, or DC jack, DC in. Not AC, what am I talking about? But the problem is the battery, you know, covers up that hole. So you can't really charge the battery in place. There's no physical way to do that, let alone an electrical way. So that wasn't gonna be a thing on this camcorder, which I did do a video on this. Yeah, go watch that. After this one, of course. But on this one, the battery is just up in here. And you know, it just leaves a little, oh, that was, someone been inside this? Anyway, yeah, the battery just slots in there. It's not really on the back, it's inside the back, which of course leaves room for this at the bottom, which is the adapter plug. And actually, this battery kind of, the weight that it is kind of adds to the weight of the back of the camera, adds kind of a counterweight to the camcorder, which makes it easier to actually use, because right now the back, its ass is just flying up in the air, making the camcorder really unbalanced. But if you put the battery in, it actually balances a little bit more. So pretty good decision on their part with a lead acid battery. So no, we're not going to turn it on yet because we haven't figured out how to get power into the damn thing yet. So let's do that. The adapter, this thing. You may kind of recognize this if you've seen like a really old Motorola phone from like the 80s, like 1984, 85. They charge on a sled like this. So what you do is you take your battery, or your phone, I guess, and then find out where the contacts are, so right there. And you kind of slot it in. Like that. And it just kind of holds it like a cradle. Why? I mean, why they couldn't have made this like the camcorder where the battery's inside of it is anyone's guess. I guess this makes it fit into the case better, but I don't know. But yeah, I plugged this into the wall and it definitely doesn't charge the battery at all. Like a light comes on over here that says power, but the charge light stays off no matter what, even if I flip this switch right here. So yeah, the batteries are completely dead. The lead plates in here probably disintegrated from the acid over time, as they do. And if you guys are wondering why this battery still works, well, this is a company that probably still exists, for one. For two, this camera is almost a decade newer than this one, and the batteries are probably this battery is probably several years newer than, you know, these ones. So yeah, and also this is a liquid cadmium. This is a nickel cadmium pack, whereas, you know, these are basically tiny car batteries. That's not technically correct, but that's the basic technology and makeup of the battery. So, if we can't charge the batteries, we can't charge them in place. How do we power it? Back to this thing. There's two cables coming off it right there, and they go tangled up in crap, although they're about the same length. Yeah, they're about the same length. They go down to two cables. We have our power, and we have our proprietary adapter jack. The adapter jack reminds me a lot of Firewire, just the kind of squishy feeling of the cable, but power is just power, so I can plug that into anything. In fact, what I'm gonna do is plug it into my little power thing, which is basically an inverter and a battery in one, up to about 100 watt-hours. You just turn it on like this, and bam. Now I'm gonna have to be kind of quick or else it's gonna turn off. So let me get the camcorder out here. We plug the, you know, thing in the back, goes in, and now we can turn it on. Now it's on, so you might be able to see through the viewfinder. No, you can't. It's probably in play mode, isn't it? Oh no, it's in camera mode. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to show you that, but it is working. There, you can kind of see a picture. Alright, so now that that's on, we can, you know, put it on our shoulder. And this is how it goes on, by the way. There's a little pad right here, a little rubber concave here that is padded for your shoulder. And it is in camera mode, so now the record button is actually in here. It's the red part right here with the zoom stuff. Lens is right here, microphone's right here, of course. Actually, right here, there's a little switch for a wind buffer, which is for when, you know, you're shooting outdoors or whatever and there's a lot of wind. You can fix that, I guess. So let me record something. This is you. Congratulations. The zoom is very, very, very slow. I'm gonna shoot a little bit of outdoors. I don't know how this is going to come across on the actual video, but it is the outdoors. This is the way room looks on this VHS camcorder. This is from 1988, by the way, so this is actually a cathode ray tube in this viewfinder. So it's a little tiny tube TV built in here. So actually I'm going to hold this up to the camera and I'm going to show you a little bit of a graph of, you know, the tone that's generated by the flyback transformer in here. There'll be a spike. So there you go. When you want to turn it off, you can just flip the viewfinder out like that and then do the power thing, which is not working. I can't turn it off? What? There we go. Okay, that was weird. But yeah, while we've got power, let's eject the tape, see what that looks like. So the eject button is right here. Bam! Here is the tape. This is a, what is this? This is a T120, so it's a 6-hour VHS tape at the EP speed, but in here it's 2 hours, exactly how, you know, a T120 would sound. You know, 120 minutes, 2 hours. And in this model itself, down inside of there, that right there is actually a half-size head drum. It's a shrunken VHS mechanism because, well, this is back in the day when, you know, they needed to do that. They felt like they needed to do that. In later camcorders like this one, if I take out this tape here, you can see that there's actually a pretty full-size head drum in there. Might not actually be that hard, easy to see, but that is actually a full-sized head drum. So there you go. Let me actually put that tape back in. This is actually a T200, by the way, which will show up in a future video. Just testing it out. Hopefully it doesn't snap. Epic. So it's a bit weird that, you know, this camera, which is almost a decade newer than this one, has a bigger head drum than the older one does, because you would think that older is bigger, right? It's just how technological steps go, but nope, they made it smaller in here because they thought they needed to. So yeah, the power's gone, so I can't exactly put the tape back in, so let's turn that back on. All right. Oh, Jesus. All right, let me put the tape back in. We make it wrap around the head. Right, there we go. Let me power it off again. Put the lens cap back on. And there we go. So, back to the dock again. This I'm going to call this a dock. This camcorder does not seem to have anywhere to, you know, plug your TV into it. I mean, you shouldn't need to anyway, because even though this is like a full VCR unit built into this thing, like reading and writing the tape, you can just take the tape out, put it in your normal VCR. But some people didn't want to do that. So they started integrating, you know, jacks, video and audio jacks into their camcorders. You can even record TV shows onto the tape in this camcorder if you wanted to. Just completely ignore the camera part. So that one had built-in jacks, but this one does not. There's just nowhere for that. So they externalized them into the dock, of course. So this is that same charger thing, and it has all the jacks. Actually, some of these are kind of weird. Oh, they're in and out. They're not bidirectional. So these are to transfer information to the camcorder, and these are from the camcorder. So like to a TV or another VCR. This switch is to do with, I believe, what's on this side, which are RF. Actually, I think these are called F connectors. You see these on TV tuners and stuff. So these are like from antennas and to TVs. I think this is a pass-through right here. And this is the actual input. So you connect this to your antenna and this to your TV, and this device can live between them, which I guess is cool. And I don't know what this does, because I can't really use all the inputs and outputs of this device, but oh, actually, this is another function of the living between your TV and your antenna, I think. This is so you can pass through your line, so your antenna, versus the camera. So when you flip the switch from line to camera, it cuts the feed from the antenna and replaces that with the camera's signal. So there you go. And of course, you can charge a battery. if this were new enough to, you know, have batteries that worked. Or it can just supply power to the camera straight from the thing. And all of those ins and outs seem to go through this one cable. So, you might ask, how are you going to use this in the field? Like, what use does this have for you? Well, this is a 1988 full VHS camcorder, so it's very cool. I would like to use it. How am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to build what's called a backpack. Now, what the hell is that? Well, it's essentially a backpack. No, really. You just put all the stuff you're going to use into the backpack, and then you leave a little gap for the cables to come out. And you put that around your back, and you take your camcorder with your power input in there, and you use it. Of course, for me, I have to, every single time I want to use the damn camera, or turn it on, I have to go in here, turn on the damn nubbin thing, and then zip it back up, put it on my back, and now I can turn it on, and I really am now recording on the go. What do you have to say?
Baloney.
Baloney? Wait. Oh yeah, this is a later time. I'm in the future now. Oh yeah, the power went out. And then there was chaos. My web server broke. All my servers broke. But they're fixed now. Okay, back to this. So there's a few more controls on here that I want to show you. So right here we have the switch that you can flip to take the camera into normal camera mode, auto lock mode, which I don't really know what that does, and VCR mode. In VCR mode, well, it's basically exactly what it means. I mean, you can play back a tape, you can output it to a TV. Normal mode just switches to camera, as it says right there. So yeah, that's that switch. Right there are some clock controls, however you can't really see the text that yeah, it says that in, but yeah, it does have text there. Cell and set is a date and time button for some reason. That's a backlight button. I forget what that does. Here's a manual focus wheel. Here's a fade button for doing fades on the tape when you're shooting, I guess. Here's a self-timer button and I guess a time-lapse button? That's weird. And we have the focus thing, which this changes from, you know, manual focus. You can actually like press it down and it'll like do autofocus, or you can press it down and move it like that. And it stays in that position and acts as a switch for autofocus. So now this will autofocus. For some reason, it always ends up just being that. So I keep having to switch it back because it just switches back for some reason. So that's weird. But when it's like that, you have to use this to focus. Next is the white balance switch, which is a bit weird. I'm not sure what fixed does. Maybe that's just a set value that you can't change. Oh yeah, it is. This is for like indoor lighting, like incandescent lighting. And this other setting is for, you know, sunlight, outside shooting. And this is for automatically switching between different white balances. And I guess HS shutter stands for high speed shutter, which is like for, you know, shooting someone that's running really fast or a car or something. So everything's not as blurry when you're shooting. Let's see, what other controls? Oh yeah, in here we have record, which is the red thing right there. We have wide and telephoto, so this is two zooms, and it zooms very, very slowly as well. Right here we have the lens, or actually the lens cap. Let's take that off. There's the lens. There's a 12x zoom lens, 5.6 millimeters to 6.7 millimeters, and it's an f1.6 lens. So that's pretty good. So the microphone is actually right below the lens, and the lens is on the top of the entire machine, which actually makes it much easier to record with, because the lens is at the top, so that's where the point of view of the camera is, as opposed to one of these, where the microphone ends up being, you know, all the way up here, and you know the lens is all the way down here. So when you're recording, you're like this. The lens is right here and not up here, which actually makes it really hard to get good shots in the car, because you know this will be closer to the bottom of the dashboard, whereas this one has a better view out the windshield. So that's pretty good, and also out the windows and stuff. So yeah. And on the opposite side of the microphone over here, as we can see, there is a, oh yeah, that's the mic filter for like wind and stuff. You can turn that, flip that switch, and you know, wind filter off, wind filter on. So yeah. Oh, there's also on the other side of the mic, there's an audio in port, I believe. It's a, wait, what is that? Yeah, external microphone port right there. So that's a 3.5 millimeter jack, I believe. Maybe it's a 2.5. I don't really remember, but yeah, it's a external microphone port, and it just cuts, you know, audio to the mic, and replaces it with that. And I use that to record a video. Somewhere in 1989, parts 1 and 2 were recorded with this camcorder, you know, with the output of the Volt 4, my audio interface, just plugged straight into here. And of course, all the transport controls we have up here. We have power, of course, which is weird because it's not really a push button, except it actually is. It's a push button switch. I always found those stupid. There's also pause, rewind, play, of course, and fast forward. Here's a record button, so if you have like an external input, you can record. It's kind of weird since there's a record button, you know, right down here. It's where the shooting record button is. This is like the VCR record button, so yeah. And of course the tape eject, which actually works when the camera's off. In fact, on most of these camcorders, the tape eject, you know, works with the camera off. So actually, I have this other camcorder for that here, so I can press that. This battery's charged, so it'll just eject the tape, which is very, very violent, actually. It won't like wrap the head around or wrap the tape around the head when you know, have the tape back in here, but if I just put it over to camera mode, it'll do that. But this video is not about this camcorder, it's about the OmniMovie. What else can I say about this? Well, I can say that Veritasium used it in his How Did Video Get Invented video. He had this pointing at himself in his yard for a lot of it. It was actually this exact model. Maybe it had a different zoom length though. Also, something I don't like about this is the lens cap. It's permanently attached. You can't exactly, you know, take it off. There's just a loop underneath the mic that it does that with, so yeah, whatever. Oh, also, on most camera viewfinders, even the ones that are broken that I have, there's actually controls behind the viewfinder here. Little viewfinder controls. These are brightness and I think focus as well down there. I don't know, let's see. Yeah, brightness and focus. Right there. So, and that's for the viewfinder. And also the viewfinder extends out a little bit to reveal this really wonky tube kind of a texture right here. It's kind of weird. And of course it, you know, flops around. And there's basically a whole tube TV in here too. Kind of weird. So that's really the OmniMovie in a nutshell. It's got a few basic features like fades and, you know, a black and white viewfinder, which is literally a little tube TV. But other than that, it's really nothing special. And many different companies actually made this camcorder or sold this camcorder. So Panasonic, I think, may have been the OEM, so the main person that made them. However, you know, Series had their version, which is basically the same thing. It looks pretty much exactly the same, and you know, stuff like that. They licensed it out to other companies to sell, and they probably made a profit off of it too, you know, being the manufacturer and all. But anyway, I've been trying to get a camcorder that, a full-size VHS camcorder that shoots in, you know, LP or EP mode, or as some people call it, SLP mode. So, you know, a VHS tape normally goes, you know, SP, so standard play mode. But they introduced long playing mode pretty well in, which like doubled your recording time for like a slight reduction in visual quality from your tape. And of course, kind of a large reduction in audio quality since that was always going to be linear. However, then they introduced EP mode, or SLP, super long play, or extreme play is probably what I would call it, but it's like extended play is what the spec probably calls it. And you know, those made like tapes, the one that I have in the RCA camcorder, that can go up to 10 hours since it's a T200. And in this camera I have a T120, which I think can go up to 6 hours in EP mode. So I really wanted to get a camcorder that could shoot in that, but I think those really only exist in the VHS-C camcorders, the ones that are super compact and without those special modes to record for a very long time and have reduced image quality and audio quality, like EP and LP mode. In SP mode, those cameras will only be able to shoot up to 30 minutes of VHS video, which isn't too hot. Of course, that's standard VHS quality, but on most of them, I think you can turn the quality all the way down to EP mode or SLP mode. Those are the same thing, by the way, which will bump the recording time up to like 2 hours, or maybe an hour and a half. So yeah, that's obviously quite lucrative to a lot of people, and the quality of the recording wasn't as important as getting the recording at all and having it at all. So yeah, and they even came out with SVHS versions of those, which is bizarre. LGR did a video recently about it. It's kind of nuts to me that they made a SVHS version of camcorders, because that's kind of a format that didn't really go anywhere, I thought. But maybe it's SVHS ET, and that would explain a lot, because then you could just record SVHS onto normal VHS tapes, not SVHS tapes specifically. Because SVHS-C, who's ever heard of that? Who has one of those? Those probably didn't exist much. But anyway, this has been iRoad Redux. Thank you very much for watching. In the next video, we will look at 2 other camcorders that I ordered off of eBay. In the last video, we'll see a third that didn't quite make it. I don't know what the condition is of the next 2, but we'll see. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next short, live stream, or video, whatever that may be. See you guys.